a good way to take the opportunity to validate the things I tell you in class so that you know that I'm not crazy. Right? And ask questions, people in the field, hopefully in areas you're interested in exploring in health information. So what we'll do is we're going to go through each panelist and I'll give you their bio, a little bit about why they chose health information or how it chose them. That's how it was for most of us, right? And what their education is and a little bit about their experience and how they got that first job, because that's what most of my coding students want to know. Right? How'd you get that first job? It's the hardest thing, but it's easier for you guys now than it ever has been in the past. So, Melissa, I'm going to start with you.
I have to start. I'm not on this end, so I can do last. Okay.
Well, no, you don't have to skip.
Okay.
Melissa McCudden is one of our recent graduates. She has an RHIT and a CCA, and she's currently working in the field. I'm going to let you talk to her about, or let her talk to you about her experience.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. I was sitting over there. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I graduated in December, and around April, Julia got a message from West Palm Hospital looking for recent graduates, so she forwarded it to me. That was my first hospital job. What? Ann? Oh, okay, sorry, Ann. Okay. I was saying I got my first job out of school in April at West Palm Hospital, but then I got a better offer from another hospital in August. So now I'm...
Do you want this?
Oh, no, thank you. So now I work at Lakeside, and I do all different kinds of coding, inpatient, outpatient, observation, ambulatory, lab drop-offs, and I get to work part-time from home and part-time at the hospital. So it's awesome. Halfway to the dream. Halfway to always being on the couch in your jammies.
That's great. So you were at Lakeside in Bellevue, right? Bellevue? Oh, okay.
Yes, which is what's very nice on the gas tank to only have to go in.
Yeah, yes.
It's very, very far, but at least there's no traffic.
It is not.
So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Straight up southern.
One question.
Yeah.
How's your, I mean, I know you just graduated, so just a year. So what did you learn in school? How did you find it compared to what you're facing in the field, versus,
Right.
the training you got in your studies?
It's not fair because I work with her.
Right. I get to work with Julie on Fridays too, so I get to ask her all of my dumb questions. So like we're in school, I'll be like, what's this? Okay, good. And then I'm it's like continuing education credits with her. When I went out into the field, I was like, I don't know anything. I just graduated. I have my RHIT. I still don't know what I'm doing. So and that's but once I got to Lakeside, it's a lot more like in school. The 3M, it's all the same. It's
Okay, that's great.
Just like using 3M. West Palm wasn't really coding that much. It was different. Like I wasn't on the revenue cycle side, and they saw all like the CPT codes and stuff. I was just assigned the levels according to the sheet because they're like a for-profit hospital. So it's a little bit different. I felt like I had to get out of there. So if I didn't use like what we learned in school, I'm gonna lose it. So with Lakeside, I was like, yes, please. So yeah. So it's good. You still don't feel like I feel like with anything in life, you don't know. You're just kind of learning as you go.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm getting better, and then I have her to still grade me, so it helps me. I give her my big. I'm like, look at this big $80,000 inpatient chart I just did. Check that for me, will ya? All right, good. Yes. You missed one secondary diagnosis that didn't affect the DRG. I'm good with that. So it helps.
All right, our next panelist is Amber Broadwater Martinez, and her credentials are all up here. She's got a lot of MBA, LHRM, RHIA, and she's from Precise, and she's here to tell us about her experience. I'm going to stand up. I got two different microphones if you want one.
Can you guys hear me in the back?
Yeah.
Is that Ann again? She's our sound check.
Yeah.
I'll stand up for just a second because I started working in health information management when I was 18. I was a medical assistant part-time, and I was doing data entry at Johns Hopkins Hospital. And I needed to pick up more jobs, so I had two part-time jobs, 20 hours. 20 hours to make 40, and you know how it is, it's never enough. So I needed another job, and the person next to me said, I'll teach you how to code after work. So she spent not much time with me, maybe 2 or 3 hours a day for about a week, and she taught me how to code so I could apply to be a coder. And they would kind of give me odd jobs because they thought, oh, she's young, she knows technology, she'll help. And I happened to know like what the Ethernet cable was at the time. We called it like the Cat5 cable. So they would say, oh, look at my printers and network this, or I'm stuck in a screen, I need some help. So they'd grab Amber and Amber would come and help them. So it was unofficial IT support. And that unofficial IT support with the coding, with the medical assisting, I was approached by the CIO of Johns Hopkins Hospital, and he said, you know, I really need your help in implementing this thing, this electronic health record at the hospital. And that was now 15 years ago, and I said, yeah, I'll take it, I'll do it. So I implemented one of the first electronic health records. I wasn't even 20 years old at the time, and I was working all these extra jobs to just try to make it. And sometimes a couple things like just saying yes and being like open to learning new things, taking a skill that you thought was not truly a skill. I didn't see myself as an IT guru or person. And then I spent about 10 of my 15 years actually in health information technology. I really liked it. Right now what I do for Precise is I run emerging business opportunities. So I take everything from an HIM concept, like Lou was talking about, we take really good ideas and we put them through an improvement engine to develop brand new HIM offerings to the market. So my department's responsible for new offerings, making HIM newer, faster, better, stronger. And the other part, which relates to how I got started, is something that I'm passionate about, is just work for initiatives. So last year I was over the fire committee with the Florida Health Information Management Association as their Director of Innovation. This year I'm still on the Florida Health Information Management Association as the Director of Workforce and Public Good. Why does that matter to you? It matters because those things, in addition to why we're all here today, is how do we take all the skills that you had and some things that you don't even know you have, and how do you translate that to a job? So I run also the only registered apprenticeship program through the Department of Labor, which was actually just recognized by the White House the day after Labor Day. So if folks do or don't have credentials, you can reach out to myself, you can reach out to Precise. We have tracks not just for coders, but for HIM individuals that want management or leadership roles. There's also CDI, data integrity, revenue cycle. As of now, Precise is the largest health information management company in the world. We are a $1 billion company. And like Lou said earlier, we are always looking for people that are open to say yes. And we are very serious about not just the skills that you have, but about the culture that you bring to the table and all that you have to offer. So I guess that's it, kind of in a nutshell, where I started and how I came back to it about 16 years later. And it still matters. Finding jobs for the right people at the right time is something I'm passionate about. And I'm glad to be here today, so thank you for the invitation.
Well, thank you for coming. All
I have a
right.
question. Where did you get your shoes and can you model them for us?
They're from CSW.
Okay, our next panelist, Gilbert Dougherty, is from HIA, and you're an RHIA. Do you want to stand up? Or?
Sure. So I have more of a recent grad than Melissa. I graduated in May from Temple University with my RHIA, but I'll start from day one. I started as a pre-pharmacy track, and about a year and a half into that, I wasn't doing any chemistry, didn't like it. So I went to my advisor, and she said there's HIM. I'm like, okay, don't really know what that is. Took a few pre-courses, and it was a background of the healthcare, and what got me into it, the same year my father had a heart attack, and he had all these records and everything else, he didn't understand it, so me learning that helped him push me to go to the degree. And as I went through it, what thing really helped me build your resume, get internships, volunteer work. I had 3 internships. I had 2 from the school and 1 I got my own. So you really want internships and communicate, network, build your resume, really what you're going to do. And now I started with Lou before I graduated in December as an operations coordinator, And then when I graduated, I became operations manager, and today I'm the director of operations. So that's cool.
Who's our youngest panelist?
The only man.
All the men that are going into it.
Yes.
It's changing. Some men are going into it. More men are going into
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
I had about maybe eight men graduate with me, and the class coming in has about 20 men in the program now. So I think really the IT is bringing more males into it. So that's what I see in the incoming classes.
That's good for us because that boosts our pay. So our next panelist is Derry Bonner, and I have to say she proctored my first coding exam a while ago. So we'll just keep it at a while ago. And she's the CEO of Exact Healthcare Solutions. She has a lot of credentials, a lot of knowledge. So please.
Yes, I'm standing up. If I stand here, they won't see me. I have a very interesting, actually the rest of this group I know very well, and I didn't even realize that I proctored this first exam. I usually tell people that I've been in this industry for 1,000 years or more, but Julia just kind of completely blew it out when I was But I actually started out, it's kind of funny, I moved to Florida from up north, and for once in my life, we never listened to what our parents tell us to do when we're growing up. I mean, I didn't get all the way there height-wise, but I finally listened to my mom when I moved here. I had my first kid, and I said to my mom, what do I do here in Florida? And she said, you know what? There's a doctor's office in every corner. I live in Port St. Lucie. She said, go to school, take a med-term class, and take a typing class. Which typing, forget it, but she was right. I took a med-term class. I actually started working in checkout in a orthopedic doctor's office when he first started his practice. I don't know if you, well, you all probably do know who he is, Dr. William Onsbach, who has just retired. So since you gave it away, I may as well just go all the way with it. Been doing it for a long time. Again, it's kind of like what everybody else here is talking about. It's unbelievable when you leave yourself open. I went from checkout, went over to Mark Memorial Medical Center, and ended up a biller for a while there. And then that billing position kind of went away a little bit, and that's another whole story. I have a twin sister who actually came in to be a supervisor in our department, and so we couldn't have the same family members in the same department, so I was just a biller. You know that song on TV, I'm just a biller. So anyway, it was actually a blessing because I ended up in the medical group, and they started a new sort of CDI program. And so I did training for doctors, and ended up then going into compliance. I turned in my 2-week notice. I was going to go out on the road and be a road warrior for a while, and got asked by our hospital when compliance first came out if I would work in the compliance office. So it was the first time I think I've been out of the basement, because a lot of things departments are in the basement. Actually, all of them are. So I started compliance, then I ended up going for that national job, ended up working for Quadramed and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We established a process from front to back in the Department of Veterans Affairs, all, how many is it now? 170 hospitals, all over the country, a first class software program, which means it's in every VA in the entire United States. Did that from a process perspective, which is really what my passion is, process and help people, doctors, everybody do it right. I've been more on the physician side. I've been in outpatient hospital side, not the inpatient, but the opportunities for you all is just unbelievable. I now own my own company, did it at a crazy time. Used to work for Booz Allen Hamilton when people thought I was a beer drinker. That's what I always got to ask. Booze what? Until Snowden. Now everybody knows who they are. But I worked for them for about 2 years, and in 2008, when the economy took a nosedive, I started my own business in Port St. Lucie, and it's been about 8 years, and it's been awesome. I work all over the country. We have a staff of coders as well. I do a lot of training at the college. So it is a great opportunity. If you like to teach, great field. If you like to audit, great field. If you like to help other people, great field, because most of us know each other. And those of us that know each other, I mean, we might see each other on a plane once in a while, But, you know, it's that interaction and networking, I would agree. I used to think I was a coder when I worked in checkout until I went and took the test. And it was like French. I didn't understand a word they were saying the night before, and I ended up passing. I don't know how I did, but keep going for it no matter what. Get your certifications. Keep at it, because it is with ACA, with ICD-10. This is the first time we've had a major coding change since I started in my career. And it's a wonderful opportunity because we've got a lot of people exiting, so there's more room for people entering. But there's a lot y'all can do. There really is. So just keep at it. That's what will make you successful.
Okay, our next presenter is Deb Rayleigh. She's an RHIA, and she's from Parallon, which is HCA Parallon, and she's a regional director. So let's welcome her.
Well, so far I think I'm the grandma of the group, but I actually started out in HIM without a computer. There were none. It was a department where, actually if I go really back, I started out in healthcare as a housekeeper, cleaning patient rooms, autopsy rooms, and OR suites. That's how I started out. And I decided I was not cleaning toilets for the rest of my life. So I started looking at the little postings, and I saw that there was a file clerk position, but you had to type 60 words, 40 words per minute, I think. So when I was working at night as a housekeeper during my break, I would sneak into an office that I had keys to, and I would work on a typewriter, and I didn't know until later it was the CEO's secretary's typewriter. And I bet every day she'd come back to work and think, who changed all my settings on my typewriter? But I learned to type fast enough that I was able to pass that 40 words per minute, and then I applied for a file clerk position, and I was working nights, filing medical records, paper medical records at night. And decided that after I thought that was really cool, I just really loved that, but then I learned correspondence, which was, today we know it is release of information. I learned tumor registry, I learned coding, and I was going to be a coder for the rest of my life. I loved being a coder. And Terry said, recently the ICD-10 was the first, biggest major change in coding. Well, I'm going to tell you, changing to DRGs was a mess. It was a hot mess. I remember that. But back in the day, we coded on a paper abstract. It was a very long abstract. You had to pencil. You had to put all your codes in the boxes. You had to put the doctor's codes in. It was all manual. And at the end of the month, we would batch these batches of abstracts. They were about this long. And we would send them to 3M in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And you'd have to tick and tie and make sure you had every one and you weren't missing one. And you'd check it off with a paper census report every day. It was major stuff. We thought we were hot snot, but we were. So anyway, eventually I moved to Tampa. I'd been living in Michigan. I moved down here to South Florida. I moved over to Tampa, and I was working midnights as a coder. And I went home, and this is probably stating my age, but I went home at midnight, or I did the 4 to midnight shift, and then I would go home and I would watch Johnny Carson. And Johnny Carson listed out the top 10 most needed professionals in the United States. And the 10th one, I'll never forget it, was a medical records administrator. And I decided I was going to be that when I grew up. So I couldn't go to school because I was supporting myself. So back in the day, not AHIMA, but it was AMRA, American Medical Records Association, had a correspondence course, and you could get your credentials by a correspondence course. And they would mail you a book after each module. They were modules, and we completed them, and I completed them, and you'd mail your tests back, and you'd have to have a proctor and such. And that's how I got my first credential, and it was what was it? An ART, an ART. So I love to say and then I got the RRA after that, but I went to a university to get that. And all through my career, I first started out, as a housekeeper and worked my way up. And then eventually, after I got my ART, then I was the director of, I was awarded the position of a director of a small 50-bed acute, 50-bed SNF hospital. And it was really a cool experience. I learned a lot because it was so small. I was the risk manager, the infection controller, the case manager, the discharge planner, the quality director, and the HIM director. Whoa, what was I getting myself into? A great education. Because from there, I went to a large facility, a regional health facility, which was right around the time that the DRGs were coming out. And anyway, I was the director of a facility there, and then I was recruited back to South Florida to be a director at the facility where I'd been a housekeeper at. And during my interview with the CEO, the MSO kept saying to the CEO, "She used to empty your trash bags." He must have said it 10 times during the interview. He's like, "This girl used to empty our garbage, and now she's a director." So they awarded me the position, and I accepted it, and I moved back to Florida from Michigan. And since then, I did leave that facility, and I joined HCA, which is a corporation of nearly 170 hospitals. And I worked for them for 5 years, and then I left, and I went back up to northern Michigan. I lived here, but I traveled back and forth to Michigan every week and was a consultant to implement an EHR, to do a cost-benefit analysis, and to implement an EHR. I had never done a cost-benefit analysis. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I'm very excited and was very proud that when I told them how much money they would save by implementing this EHR, 2 years later we looked at the dollar impact and I was off by $300. So I thought that was really great because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was spot on. And you know, that's a great lesson for you all, that you may, sometimes you gotta challenge yourself to work outside the box, take those chances, just go out on a limb and you'll never know where you might land. 5 years later, I ended up in Portland, Maine, consulting for the same company, and while they were in a hotel room one night, I had a cardiac event, and long and short, I ended up having to come back home and have some cardiac surgery over at JFK. My husband said, "You're done traveling, you're not," I called him at the hotel and I said, "I think something's wrong," and long and short, I passed out, the paramedics came in, my phone was under the bed, and he was listening to them jumpstart me again, and he was having a fit. So I came home and he said, "Nope, you're all done." So anyway, I ended up finding a job back with HCA. I'm now regional director. I cover 20 hospitals. In January it'll be 21. HCA has a very unique model. It's different than any other that I've ever seen, although I'm hearing that some of the larger corporations are starting to go to it as well. And it's a model where if you're a coder, you will work from home 7 days a week if you'd like to, but it's normally 5.
Not for West Palm Hospital, which is HCA.
No, if you're a coder, you are, but it sounds like you were more, because our coders don't work for the hospital, they work for Paramount.
Right.
So I believe that you were maybe more like E&M charging or something like that, it sounds like.
Yeah, the title, yes, in the jammies.
Yep.
Correct.
So fuzzy slippers
Yep.
and PJs are nice to have. I am a work from home employee, and all of my employees that report to me work from home. However, in the facilities, I have a director of medical records, and we also have a couple of file clerks. In the hospital, we've kind of pulled out a lot of the things that we traditionally would see in a hospital. The coders don't report to the HIM director anymore. The analysis team don't report to the director anymore. I have a team of 4 for transcription who manage the entire transcription base for all 21 hospitals, soon to be 21 hospitals. And at the hospital, they work more the unbilled, the physician's delinquency rates, all of those kinds of things within that department. And at night, they're like little elves. They go around the hospital, they collect all the charts, they must have a certain percentage of compliance of collecting those charts, not missing anything, and then a courier comes in the middle of the night and snaps up some locked crates with all these charts in them, and they take those to a shared service center. For this area, they go down to Miramar, Florida. We also have a shared center in Jacksonville and one out in the Panhandle, and those records are sent there, and they must be arrived with the courier by 5 o'clock the next morning or they will be let go. because we are very, very strict on the fact that our records are to arrive on time, because by 3 o'clock that afternoon, every record is in the system. Most of it's electronic feeds now. You don't have a lot of paper pieces of parts, but for those paper pieces of parts that are there, we do have those scanned into the system at our shared service centers. And that's been our model. One of the things that I'd like to tell you is that, you know, over time, I went from housekeeping to a file clerk to a coder to, you know, a utilization clerk, or Reverend, I forget what we called them, utilization coordinator, we called them back in the day. I've kind of gone up and down in my career, not always a step up, and sometimes you got to take a step back to leap forward a little bit. And so never be afraid to